Welcome to a feature from Historic Hospitality, the channel where we give you all the history and the insight into the wonderful world of hospitality. While the hospitality industry continues to grow despite all the previous hard times, there is a fantastic opportunity to gain insight into this fantastic career and setting. So in 2025, I've set out on a mission to find some of the most notable names in hospitality. Starting here in my hometown of London, we have a fantastic guest with great insight into the industry, a man of experience and talent and loved by many. A fabulous gentleman who I met for the first time while being at the Restaurant Manager of the Year Awards 2025, where I was a finalist. One small note from me, the venue sadly did put the music a little bit louder, so you will pick it up in this, but it's still a great watch. So please do like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more videos coming your way. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi, my name is Alper Zan. I'm the YY Circle co-founder and director. I started to hospitality when I was 16 as bartender, 6 months as a glass collector, and 35 years now. I never look back.
Thank you for joining me. It's nice to have you. See you again. And it's a lovely venue as well. So yes. I'm going to get some bits of that and put that on because it's really nice. I'm going there. So we're just going to get an idea of how through the years you've gone into hospitality and come out this end of it.
Yeah.
So where was the first place that you ended up working in hospitality and what drew you to it?
Hospitality started with me because of the family. From the very young age, we have a big family and everybody cooks, serve, does something when family gets together. And following this, I knew back then I didn't want to be in the family business, and my heart was working with people in hospitality. So when I was 16, I've asked grandpa's blessing, and I said I don't want to be in the the family empire.
Ouch.
Yes. And literally took 2 suitcases and off I went to one of the the resorts by the beach town, and start working as bartender.
Nice. How long did you stay doing that for?
I'm still doing it.
Still technically still doing it. Really
I'm still doing it, yes. And hospitality is such a way. It's I was the lucky one. I always knew I wanted to work within the hospitality, which is often our industry absolutely opposite. People join in, they're not decided what they want to do with their life, or they're not sure, they're exploring. Where I knew when I was 16, I wanted to be, run the restaurant, looking at restaurant businesses, and the being part of that, the lifestyle. Because one of the motto is hospitality is a way of life, not just a job, and I think that's what brought me to all these years working in all aspects of hospitality, but prominently as a front of house leader. It's such an exhilarating feeling being part of the team.
It's very good. And with running the front of house aspect, do you think then that would mean you're a bit of a showman deep down?
Well, literally you're on the show. It's like live theatre, and that's what brings hospitality sector, gives you that self-confidence, gives you that grit, and really builds your the character and personality. And it's a lot of industries can't deliver that, and that's what makes our industry unique. And very not many industries you can jump in and make a the difference in very young age and earn more money than the status quo, if you like. And having that as well as you growing as a person. And at the same time, in very short amount of time, you will see the people grows with you, and that prepares you for the the next stages in your life. Um, and that's something you can't get enough of, no matter what part of the world you're coming from, what cuisine you are working with. The hospitality culture is about, always has been, how you make your guests feel, um, and to be able to have this in the restaurant, and you are the conductor, literally, imagine you got the whole orchestra. It's you responsible from people entering the building until they leave, and that's always fascinated me, and that's what gives you also the opportunities to meet different people, different cultures, understand the others, and if you want to bring people together, you talk about food. Suddenly, you found so many common grounds.
Everybody loves food.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. And do you think there's been a definite shift in, say, the types of people going into the industry from, say, 20 years ago?
Well, I'm thinking, I remember the days we had 250 bottle of wine behind the bar, and we were serving at the time. It was a fantastic concept called Parisa Cafe Bar. And for one, as a restaurant manager, I was doing the stock take every Sunday. And I remember we were using the fax machine to fax our reports to our area manager. And I'm looking at now all the technology we are using. Absolutely, the shift, it's happening. And one of the things I always notice is, no matter what happens in people's life and culture, hospitality always in the forefront, because we lead that. And when you lead that, you will see everything, as it happens. So we're not in the industrial, the era anymore. We're in the different era, and equally we embracing the same thing. So I used to have, the guests coming in to our restaurants, is Pete working today? They used to ask, that was the norm of the success, and you can look at your team and think proud you made it, because the guests coming in asking for you. Brand wasn't, didn't matter. What you served almost like was irrelevant, because they wanted that, the secure, safe environment to know that Pete is gonna take care of us. And that's in essence what this hospitality is all about. And for me, is now we just engaging with people still as in a hospitality way, often in different areas digitally. And our challenge is to bring hospitality to the digital world, so we can engage with the young generation. Because something I know for a fact is, naturally you will be better than your leaders and mentors. One of the things I would always look at is, we are better than our mentors and the managers, and the next generation is going to be better than us.
Keep learning.
Exactly. So that always gives me the confidence, is we don't go backwards, we always go forward. So whatever I have done, thanks to my mentors, they've been amazing, the teachers, and I'm fascinated to see over the years, to see the new restaurant managers, they're coming on the scene, they, the producer solutions to all the challenges we have had. And one of the most resilient industries is the hospitality. A lot of industries looking up to our business models, how we manage the people, and they write their training guides. I'm not sure I'm going to say young or old, but I've been watching it for over 3 decades, and you wouldn't see the other industries coming in and influence. There's a reason in UK, the 3rd biggest industry for GDP, and we are a workforce, to be reckoned with, and regardless of it, that's not gonna stop. So I think the challenge is to use the technology, sustainability, enhance on what we are doing on April 2025, and this is gonna be, this a few decades time is gonna be old. So the hospitality is never ever going to be defined by the way of life. or other aspects when it's change. It's simply we touch people's heart and we make memories.
If you could see a big challenge in this industry moving forward, what do you think the next big thing might be?
I think it's going to be the biggest challenge I'm facing and observing right now is talking to a lot of fellows leaning towards the change, because I think we have this the massive cultural change which impacted the way of life of hospitality coming from the industrial to go into generation S, Gen Zs and so on. I think we're in the paradigm is shifting right now to understand the hospitality and accept what it is now, because things like pandemic also impacted hospitality, and for the next 5 years impacted in a good way, and to be able to see the technology sustainability and AI, I think one of the most touchable industry is the hospitality. I think we contribute, and we're not probably, we need to reflect on later on, we're not realizing it now, but knowing hospitality, how it's impacting people's way of life. So we are literally the guinea pig of it. And it's going to be fascinating to see in the next 5 years how we're going to be able to define the sustainability versus what we had before, and how we're going to use the technology without losing the human touch. And it's all about the people and the generation not accepting entire whole changes, but the leaning towards the change is in people's behavior biggest challenge. It's not about the what comes up new, what is going to be. It's about going to the a restaurant. People, they've got the typical classic menu, and for 3 generations they've been cooking the same dish. And sit down and talking to them, you can be able to produce it the same quality consistently all the time. As a human behavior, you just want to say no first of all, so changing dishes, the service, what you are doing now, to having the, pushing the generations on the digital area, because some people comfortable, engaging and wanting the things what they want, and that should be a part of hospitality now. If we are serving people, we can't just pick and choose what we want. No, we need to adapt and say, okay, if you want us to communicate with you digitally, this is what your comfort zone is, then we should be, serving these guests or customers, because there is a market for it, and as long as the market for it is going to be a demand. So we have not just engagement because we're interested how we want to operate the hospitality, but also commercial benefits, to embrace it. So that's my take in summary will be is leaning towards the changes with the challenge, not the hospitality, not the technology.
It's going to be a different world in 20 years, 30 years, I can imagine. They already tried, which I've had conversations before, they tried the robots that serve, which was just a unit that floated round, and they ended up in the cupboards in most places. But now with the development of robots, Boston Electronics, they're running across things, jumping.
Because we didn't have the full package, because somebody innovated something, and it takes time to bring the entire full 360 service and making people confident. They were saying, oh, what happens if it breaks? Well, same thing, what happens, team member calls sick.
Yeah, true.
It's exactly the same thing. But one thing I know is you serve in 1,500 people in a conference, 3 course, still you have 7 minutes or 8 minutes for the starters, 10, 15 minutes main course and so on. But 20 years ago, we didn't have EPOS, we didn't have any gadgets, we were doing pen and paper, still serving this kind of, the organization delivering the excellence. Now with technology, sometimes we're making it complicated. And sometimes we're making it easy, and I'm just thinking, my niece wanted to carry 3 plates, and she's got, the tiny hands. And imagine after 3 hours in the restaurant, when you are doing 8, sometimes 9, 10 hours, 12 hours, long shift, you're absolutely exhausted. Now, that's not adding value to the guest experience. I much rather that robot bring the food and then we serve to the table, so we focus what matters is the guest.
They could become a runner.
Yes. So I am, the really open, use and embrace it to elevate the guest experience. I remember we had Excel sheet for everything when the Excel sheet has come about, and now we've got app for everything.
Yes, great.
So from Excel sheet to app, and the next time is going to be integration, all of it, and that's innovation is going to take us. I think we are very lucky right now. We have 3 different era of hospitality. Almost single-handedly, you can touch the 3 parts, and because they are so significant. So the operating, they're looking at the QSR. Our Michelin star people during the pandemic delivered the burger, and that's crashed the whole QSR with the fine dining in the same time. That was unheard of,
Yeah, it was a very strange time.
And our restaurant operators started with doing dark kitchens to produce the mass. What they wanted is the food. So thanks to our hospitality operators, we keep innovating, we keep pushing the barriers. So one of my mentors said, don't avoid some people comes in, they've got a perception of, they are lazy. No. Often lazy people come up with the best solution because they don't want to do something. So just, it depends how you see it. And and that brings me to my next thing about how in hospitality we are diverse. We want everybody, we welcome everybody, and we serve everybody. And that's something, that I'm really, really proud of.
It's been a very progressive industry, I think. There's a big difference between now and when I left school in 1999, because it was just seen as something that only certain people did, or to fill in before they got a real job.
Yeah.
And I think now there is a shift where it's got lots of different people, and it's become a potential for other people to go in as a career, because there are jobs now people are aspiring to get.
Yeah.
I think the TV chefs did help a lot.
Yeah.
It brought some of the places into their homes. So do you think it can become, I suppose in my way of looking at it, a more viable option for students as time goes on? Because still now it's only select groups of people that decide hospitality in one form is worth doing.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be a bit more broad, given a bit more outreach in a few years?
I think that depends which part of the country and which part of the world you are in. And if you look at we can take a lot from the developed countries, and developed the countries, the way you look at the hospitality is different, regardless of the cuisines. But in terms of the brand, in terms of the individuals, absolutely, we can definitely make a difference, because going back to your point when you mentioned about how it's making impact in terms of the front of house leadership or the hospitality altogether. No matter how much you try to complicate or simplify it, hospitality always going to be in the engagement and hub of the society, and this part of the community will come up with certain ways of doing things. That's become a culture, and as far as I'm concerned, it's fascinating to go and learn the services and cultures, how it brings people together. So that's never going to stop. Therefore, it depends which part of the world or the country you're in, you're always going to learn something from that. And that makes it really unique, because you go to up north, they do chips and cheese and gravy.
Oh, no,
and
yeah.
down south they don't do. I mean, it's simple as that.
There is a divide on everything.
Exactly. So understanding that it's not just about the Michelin star fine dining. It's about the actual independent, the chef patrons and the independent, the places actually the brainchild of the many brands. And we lucky now, new generation, they've got so many amazing brands evolved. Before it was the limited. Now can you imagine? You can be able to work in so many different the bars. If you want to be bartender, if you want to be chef, you've got the whole world cuisine. It's not you're not being limited with one or two cuisine. Now everything's accessible. Accessible as in almost like university is going to lose the point.
I don't think it's a bad thing. Like university kind of seems to be just churning out the same kinds of people doing the same thing to a program. I did on-job trainings in colleges, and I felt that was far more involved. You got to know things a lot quicker.
I mean, the other thing is also, is as much as you import the digitalized world to our way of life, at a certain point, still hospitality is going to survive and it's going to come strong out of it, because at some point everything will stop and we have to rely on our team to deliver. And that's in terms of people engagement. It's not going to change. Whether you will take your camera and watch things, or you will have something much more sophisticated. I don't think people engagement and the experience of hospitality is going to change. It will definitely evolve, but human contact.
Everybody needs it to thrive and develop.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
And I think when you speak to people and you do the job, not much has changed over 200 years.
No.
Because we're all still saying the same things, talking about life and then going out and putting a smile on. So I think that context of the job just remains.
100%. I mean, can you imagine you go into an environment, often, and it doesn't matter, you don't have to be students, you can be just, in your life, you are ready to, explore, or somehow you come across with hospitality, the amount of, the positive drive gives people, it's amazing, because when you start talking about your hospitality stories, one of the things always resonates with me is you never talk that perfect one on Saturday. You always talk about, hey Pete, do you remember we were two person down and we gone through the shift and you were on the pass, we were doing this. That's what gives people genuine connection together. And I think not many industries can be able to bring people this kind of environment for people to connect and bond and understand some of the values. And that's why you build your character and values within hospitality. You cannot have that from university. You cannot have that, finance and so on. We are, a totally unique industry. You always talk about when things goes wrong, and you get through the day or the shift or the hours with your team, and you sit back, talk about it as a memory. And that's for me always priceless, because thanks to that moments, you wouldn't appreciate that at the time, but later on you will look back and say, wow, I did this, and we did that. And yeah, I mean, remember you were doing like all these hours you don't account, because there's a fine line between stress and success. If you enjoy what you're doing, it's a
Fine, very fine.
yeah. So I think there are the moments we don't talk about it enough, and we scare people. Hospitality, tough, hard work. Yes, it is, but it's so rewarding, and there is no shortcut to build something meaningful. If you're gonna find yourself, you cannot learn these things with the theories. You need to be experiencing unpredictable environment challenges, like it prepares you for life at the same time. So when those shifts, when things goes wrong, you come out, with resilience. You come out with the solutions, or somebody will cover your back. You think, wow, this is what the real bond and friendship is all about. And don't get me wrong, none of the shifts ever goes to perfection, but you still work with your team every single shift, starting as if like everybody's going to work together and it's going to be 100% perfect. And there are the things we will also pass on to others, like what I've learned from my leaders and my mentors. I just pass on to others, and suddenly you realize you got your own things, people talking about you, and there are the things is really meaningful. And regardless of where you come from, what's your age, you're always going to get connected about stuff like this. And we forget sometimes the CEOs, the head chefs, executives, and the ops directors. They are the starting point. We all start as glass collector, bartender, the kitchen porter, and it sometimes frustrates me. We yet to ignore these individuals, thinking everybody's landed from the moon.
Yes,
as
straight in.
senior, they are the the engine room. They are the the core in our people, and everybody wants now ready-made, talented people. They forgot. There's a journey for that, and if you don't support, if I don't support, they're not going to make themselves.
Oh, it has got harder when certain people I've worked with, they're just like, we need the best people, get them in. The best people are in places, unless something happens or they say now's the time to change.
Yeah.
And I kept employing people who'd never done it before, because as long as they have the right personality, the skills you can teach.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a brave move. It doesn't always work out, but it's worth doing, because personality is everything. Because people forget that hospitality is not just putting plates down, picking plates up, serving them apart. It's the interaction that makes the guest experience.
I think I also admire to nowadays running restaurants compared to what we have done 10, 20 years ago. It's much more complicated.
Yeah.
We have so much guest expectations and demands. The quality is going so high, and I found it at the time, it was easier.
Yeah.
It was easier, and I genuinely, looking back now, thinking, wow, these guys, such a job doing now, the amount of complexity, what you have within the operation, the technology, and the people's specific requirements. Before it's not being put under the highlighted or under the probably when they look at it, they would think, okay, what we were doing, delivering the same thing. But if you're thinking about the allergens, the audits, the checklist, and all the technology, the amount of things on the till you need to learn, much far superior. And thanks to technology, otherwise no way on earth we can be able to deliver all these things.
So what would you say, looking back, is the highlight of your career so far? Do you have any achievement that really stands out as something you can be proud of?
Yes, I think the first one was when I moved from one country to another with two suitcases, and I had to, step down a few levels, and I had to learn some, the cocktails, bottle touching, and everything else. And from Ewok station, when I was given to, the main station, that was the moment for me. Is that great experience in that moment, and to be able to make it, it gives you self-confidence, because literally you moving from one country to another with the suitcase. You left all your comfort zone, you left all your loved ones, and here I was in an environment I was serving people, but had the sense of achievement at the same time, knowing that delivering very high quality standard the hospitality experiences to the guests. And that's definitely one of the the many of the highlights
Don't feel
I
sorry for
remember.
him. His butler was carrying the suitcases, but just just as I take it. Sir, where would you like these? And
I don't think you can be able to do any job in the world, go around, make memories, earn great money, and have a career thanks to hospitality. I always said it. Hospitality gives me everything, I ever wanted and more.
it's good that you have figures still around the world that stand out and people that still look at the career fondly, because there are talented people, they've worked hard.
Yeah,
I've done the 80, 90 hours a week,
Yeah.
never saw any lose time or anything for it. But you've got to have that certain mentality, I think, to kind of stick with it through the hard times to get to what is the good times, because when you do, it's worth it.
yeah. I think one of the things I was doing is I always believed whatever I wanted to achieve, I never went to the next one. I always ignored the next level. I went to the second line, which means when I was a bartender, I asked my general manager, without pay, can I come in and learn to do stock take? And so doing the 16 hours, closing, the 2 a.m., back 8 a.m.,
Back in.
and doing the stock take with the assistant manager. And I've done it for 2 months. I've learned. And guess what happened 6 months later? One of the bar supervisor went to another place as a bar manager because we were expanding and they needed, obviously, replacement. And obviously, I was doing the job and I was learning it in the same time. And within the all candidates, literally, I put myself in such a way, such a position that they couldn't,
Good say that.
ignore, because I was doing the job, I've learned, and they know me. So I try to do everything I can to overtake the candidates in a right way. And that's paid off because I took the bar manager role, and that's probably why I was, since then, resonated with me is, okay, if I'm going to be, the operations manager, I need to start learning when I'm restaurant manager. If I'm operations manager, I need to learn not to the next level, jump, because the next level is inevitable. You will reach out. Whereas if you prepare yourself for the one after, and that's the what hospitality does to you. If you got a little bit of a drive, determination, it really gives you back a lot. And I made so many friends around the world. Almost, I can say I can go anywhere, and I've got somewhere somebody will open the door and say hi, hello, and I've got a food on the table, and that's thanks to hospitality sector.
It's I think it's always been a great industry where the people matter. But I think one negative, I don't like it, but bigger companies, you become a number
Yep.
rather than a person. So, I mean, I've been on the receiving end of that,
Yeah.
where you'll have a director or something come in,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, out of the way, people. Do you think there might be a correlation between smaller companies and independents
Yeah.
against bigger companies? Do you think either one are progressing better when it comes to looking after staff?
I think having had in my own business as well as work with corporate company and 3 of them over a decade, what I can say to you is each of them is give you different understanding and different experience you cannot replace. So yes, you can have this, the people, they respect title, whereas in your small local or independent environment, you do everything. You are the maintenance, you are the marketing manager, you are the menu developer, you are the guest service, you are the complaint, you are the accountant, insurance, you name it, you do it all. Whereas when you work with the corporates, you take it for granted, but everything's, whether you agree it or not, whether it's not the way you want it, but they are there for you, ready, and it's provided. So as an operator, you will look at it differently. But I genuinely believe the local independent environment prepares you to the corporate, because it always will be the brainchild or the birthplace. Start from small, and when you sweat about small things, the big ones, it's take care of itself, because from the corporate, I think you will learn one of the things I have learned is keep it simple, or else you can't engage an army.
Yeah.
Now, I like to talk a lot, and I'm lucky I'm in hospitality, but sometimes it forces you to think, okay, you've got 150 multinationalities, and the hotels you work in has got 900 bedrooms, 350 people under your leadership. You need to communicate with everybody, because if you don't engage with entire whole your team, you can't be able to deliver the result. And that's a challenge. It can't be replicated in the small independent company. So it brings you to the level where, okay, you will come to realize you need to engage with the entire whole your team, no matter where they come from, because as one, you need to make sure the guests, they don't care who you are, who I am. Guests, when they come into your place, is they've got an expectation. Whether you'll set up the expectation from the get-go, or they've got expectation because of they've heard, or you've got a brand to deliver. Now, I'm always been in the awe of delivering, the operation excellence as a standard every day. And that's, with an independent company, come from the heart. Within the corporation, comes from the entire whole thing, 360. You need to get it to be able, and that takes time, because for example, coming out from the restaurant, you've been a restaurant manager, area coach, and everything else. Nobody prepares you when you become area manager. Suddenly you don't have a keys, you don't have a team. It's a lonely job. You have to start learning how to manage people remotely. Well, I can see entire whole sections, 500 people, my team's around me, and suddenly one of them is Edinburgh, the other one in Liverpool. You're thinking, the 3 chefs down, what are you going to do? So corporates environments, it gives you different challenges and prepares you differently.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a time I never forget, because there is no university teaches you how to do this. Come from the restaurant manager to to area manager or the senior role. You just chuck in the deep end.
I suppose they account for you, saying, well, you've done it, you know the place, you have the knowledge,
Yeah.
the rest just will come.
Which isn't, and this is the part, remotely managing people, totally different set of skills in the leadership, and also understanding, your audience.
Yeah.
How can you influence people, and all those things you learn, the thanks to within the hospitality. It comes in bundles, because hospitality brings so much challenges within the complexity. It's not like you are working for normal companies, got one brand you serve and that's it. There is so many layers, like an onion. You need to understand you become a little bit of leader with understanding the marketing, your local environment, the analyzing things and observing things, and it's really changes you. And almost like whenever you run in the restaurant, you are the marketing, HR, procurement, designer, leader, a human being, most of all, because you get every single almost minute bombarded with this emotional impacts, and it's fascinating. A lot of people, they don't see that.
And it's true, because especially when you're in a role of management, everyone comes to you for everything. There's no quiet time.
You're a go-to person.
Yeah. I've had a lovely week, because they banned phones from the floor, so no one can get hold of me. It's great. I'm like, no one trained me. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the old ways can be better. Like, take away some of the technology.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant, and people concentrate on the things around them a bit more.
Yeah.
Because that's been a bit lost over recent years. When you see going to a restaurant, a cafe, and they're doing the phones.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think it's generally heading in a very good direction.
Yeah.
As long as you have the good companies to look after what they do.
I tell you something. I was watching some long time ago. Now it's more coming in. I love watching Simon Sinek, and the guy came in with the to the scene, and he was looking at us, talking with his mobile phone, and I'm talking to you now, and he's saying, right, do you think right now you are the the most important person in the room? I've got the phone,
Yeah.
and then he's put the phone down, and then said, still isn't, because phone is there. I'm just looking at it. He said, if you turn it upside down, do you still think you are the no? Because it's there. So I made a conscious effort now. If I talking to you, my phone is not going to be around.
Yeah.
It's going to be put it away. I'm literally with you at that moment in time, and that's something it's fascinating, because you take this to your work environment and or to your family. So when I talk to my missus, I put the phone away,
Yeah.
so she knows she's the most important person in the room. If I put that, it's going to be emails and everything else. It took me 10 years, Pete, to get that level. Yeah.
I was the opposite. When I was last attached to someone, they were the one on the phone in the restaurants and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
please just
Yeah.
nobody's going to disappear in the time.
Yeah.
If it's important, they'll leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
Because we don't live in the moment anymore.
You're absolutely right, because one of the things to be able to, you need to be present. When I'm talking to you now, I'm here. And it's very, very tough, because we are stimulated with our, the surroundings, and not easy to just focus with you, and especially looking at, my son, how they live in digital world. They don't know anything different. So for them is the norm. And to tell these people to take the phone away is almost like you're cutting their left arm. You can't do that. And I'm getting used to now going to, the places, phones everywhere, people talking to you, looking at it. Before, you would consider that as being rude.
Yeah.
I think it still is, but there is more understanding towards having a phone on the phone. Suddenly, it's gonna become a norm.
Yeah. It's terrible,
Yeah.
though, isn't it? Terrible. Phones everywhere. I just think, call me old-fashioned, most people do, but I just think technology is good for serving a purpose. But
Yeah.
certain devices,
Yeah.
in the workplace especially, have taken over a bit of an addiction, which has been proven. They've done studies, and they said that phone is almost designed to make you want to keep it in your hand. That's why they put so many things on it.
Yes, I see it two ways. We play a big part on that, because I've got another day's story, but using the WhatsApp in a work environment, because you cannot switch off, and it's okay for us to reach out to people whenever that we want it. And when we go to the meeting, we are the same people to say, hey, you got your phone in your hand.
Yeah.
So I think we need to be careful how we see it, and we need to reflect on what we are doing. And yeah, we play a big role. We need to do the certain things right way, but you got 7 billion people lives in the world. You cannot control everybody.
No.
So I've learned in a hard way, or the easy way, I would say, it's much easier to change me rather than change people around me. It's much easier.
And they're probably more flexible. I know I'm stubborn, so not just say, no, that's how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll think about changing it.
Yeah, I think I found that I found $1 million, to be honest with you, when one of those, you go through the things in life and thinking, okay, I'm going to change me.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to change other people. Often, it's not an easy journey, and therefore, when I'm, like we said about the WhatsApp and the telephone, or you got the phone on your head. No, it's changed me. It's world is a better place. It's easier to adapt.
And I think as well, with more and more people growing up in the technology, it's leveling out a bit now. It's not this fascinating new thing that people just had to have. So to my guys at the minute when the phone's in the drawer, but yeah, it's a lot easier now because it's part of life and as you know it growing up.
Yeah. I think we need to, unfortunately, we need to live or learn to live with the phone or the technology around us. But still, I would say many places you can go, there is that, the culture, a discipline in place, and people adapt to it. So there is something for everyone. I can be able to go to restaurant environment, to get away from entire whole technology if I wanted to. And sometimes you just want to be in the heart of it. So I think we're blessed. We got everything's available for everybody. So I don't think it's the only one right way to manage it.
There's a happy
Says me.
medium. Yeah, you take that. I'm right, you're wrong. That's it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally for me, just to wrap it up, it's been a nice long conversation. In fact, I think you got my new record. If you could sum up hospitality in a short paragraph, how would you do it?
I think summarize it. The hospitality for me is, it's got to be some kind of a quote always resonates with me. One of the projects I work with, very, very intelligent people which made a mark in my life. Hospitality is always giving people time and place, time and space, and care. So however you deliver that, doesn't matter where you are. And I don't want to penalize it with it, but for me is the making every guest feel special. That quote always stays with me, because that brings, we are, the centered with the guest. We're in hospitality for the guest. Same thing like a family. So, for example, if I knock your door, come into your home, you will greet me by the front door, right? So you go to the restaurant, one of my parents, if the guest comes in, you want to go and greet them by the door. You won't go into the lounge and say, "Hey Pete, how you doing? Come over." You'll just go and greet, because this is the people you care. This is your home, you take pride. And that's what hospitality means to me, and everything that comes with it is a life bonus. But it's always to be able to humbly serve others. And somebody who puts facts before feelings. Very fascinating for me is to realize that, I love this job because I love people, and engaging with people, going through all this turbulence every single second, every single hour, be part of that. Hospitality is, people's culture, a way of life, the way they live. So we can talk about it, long time, but that's why I can be able to summarize it. I really don't want to use the generic words and explain what that's what it means to me.
Right. That's nice. There we have it. It's the wise words of wisdom. So that's it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And good luck in all the things coming up through the year as well.
Thank you.